Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
But we got a team in here. And this is like a chat. Now every time I beer, we gotta score.
Best sounds of the week.
Pretty good. This is Purple Daily Vikings entertainment presented by TCL. Enjoy more of what you love with TCL. Also presented by our friends at PXG Minneapolis, working on that golf game, trying to at least knock a few strokes off. And PXG is a golfer's paradise. Check them out in Southdale Center. You can swing any number of their glorious clubs, the Gen 4 clubs, the 0 to 11 clubs, different price ranges. But check them out, PXG Minneapolis in Southdale Center, and find out more at pxg.com/Minneapolis. Boys, it is 4-Question Friday here on Purple Daily. I'm Phil Mackey. That's Judd Zolgad. And Declan Goff, our executive producer, who misspelled the word Vikings yesterday, and people hammered him.
Classic.
In the YouTube comments.
Unlike
what do you
Kirk,
have to say for yourself?
Unlike Kirk Cousins, I accept blame. I don't deflect blame to anyone else. So I will wear my mistake proudly and say, yes, it was on me. Not proudly, I should say, but I'll wear my mistake.
Of all the words on a Viking show, of all the words.
Of all the words. Yeah,
it's okay, though. You take ownership, and that's all we can really ask. So, Judd, you pulled question 1 here. You're just ripping this off from somebody on Twitter.
Yeah,
and we're just gonna go with that. Someone on Twitter. Top 5 games in Vikings history in your lifetime. So I was born in 1985. I start with conscious memories of the Vikings in like 91. Declan was born in the early 90s. So give me the top 5 games, and I'm interpreting this of the game made you feel good at the end. So even though there's been some good games,
I didn't take losses.
Like the NFC Championship game in 2009 was a great game.
Yeah,
but it made you feel terrible at the end. So,
yep.
Jeb, we'll start with you. What's your list of top 5 games in Vikings history?
So I'm with you. I interpret this to mean wins, so I didn't include losses, and I also interpret it to mean like my top 5 personally. So like if there's not one here, it's like, well, those are the obvious ones. I tried to mix the obvious ones a little bit with what I consider to be the top 5 that I've seen or been at. So anyway, I'm going to start with the 1987 playoff upset of the vaunted 49ers in San Francisco, 36-24. The Vikings beat the Saints in the first round of the playoffs. They then went to San Francisco, which I think was expected to kick their butt all over the field. Yeah. And in the divisional round, they won, and it was a huge upset. That's the game that Anthony Carter had a monster statistical game. So that's my 5th one. My 4th one, 1998. Randy Moss in Green Bay Monday night game. Now, you could pick the Dallas game as well. The Green Bay game stands out to me a little bit more than the Thanksgiving game personally, because that to me was Moss's coming out party of, oh my God, this guy's not just good or great, he's special. Like, he's changing the game, and we've talked about a bunch how the next draft, the Packers, I believe, with their first 3 picks, took defensive backs who were 6 feet or taller because they felt that they were too small against Moss. So that game to me is the defining Moss game more so than Thanksgiving Day.
Bunch of minute bulls out there, just 7 feet. Just
they took
praying mantis.
Mike McKenzie, Edwards, a third. Yeah, Fred Vincent was a guy that they took. So anyway, Moss in 98. Next one I'm going to go with is one I was at as a kid, 1980. The Kramer to Rashad miracle Hail Mary pass that I believe gave the Vikings the NFC Central Division title. Now, that was not a great Vikings team, but it was the last play set up by a hook and ladder play that I think went Kramer past to Joe Sensor, who lateraled to Ted Brown, who got it to like midfield, and then ends with Rashad making a catch in the corner of the end zone. As a kid, that was one of the first times that I was in a stadium that absolutely felt like it was going to collapse. Like the Met, the Met was an erector set, basically.
I mean, it was a rickety stadium to begin with, and so people start to get excited. Yeah,
it was shaking, and the end was fantastic. And that's the type of play where, as a kid at 10, you go home with your friends and try and recreate it 90 times, like throw the bomb yourself and like try and catch it.
Yeah,
So
me
anyway,
and my friends would just try to recreate wide left kicks as Vikings fans growing up. It was very-
sorry about that, but
I
I
threw across
had
the middle a lot as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
wow.
It's not Detroit, man. It's the Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
Okay. My next one, 2009, again in Green Bay, Favre in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Like, if there's any defining game to me from 2009, which was a fun year to cover, but Brett Favre in Green Bay. And again, it felt when Brett Favre came out for warm-ups at the start of that game, when the fans had filed in, that stadium felt like it was going to take off. Like, it sounded like a jet. And they were all boos. And Sage has talked extensively about that as well.
Yeah, Sage with the great quote from Favre, just him talking to Sage talking to Brett before that game, and you look a little nervous there, and Favre said something along the lines of, "It's really hard. That. It's really hard every day to be Brett Favre."
Yeah, really hard to be Judd Zolgad too.
I saw him. Okay, I opened. I was just going through Cameo last night. After someone tweeted us asking if we're going to be on Cameo, and I've never really
great idea, by the way,
opened Cameo. We should do Cameo, but I started just seeing like which celebrities are in Cameo, and so I inevitably landed on Brett Favre's profile. And Brett Favre's charging like $150, or actually it might be like $400 for a Brett Favre Cameo. He looks a little distant.
Oh yeah,
like he's a lot slower than he's ever been. Like I worry about him more than a couple years ago.
He worries about himself. He's talked about this extensively.
Am I worried about my?
Well,
maybe.
Well, let's see.
Do I have a brain injury?
Concussions, probably more concussions than you can count on. He has he had a drug problem. And he drank too much.
Yeah.
That's probably not a good combination for a long life. But but that game to me from 2009, like that's the memorable. Now I could pick the Greg Lewis game as well.
That's the staple game from that regular season, the Greg Lewis game.
But the Favre in Green Bay, because that's why he came back, right? To stick it to the Packers in Green Bay. And then my top one, it has to be the miracle. Mm-hmm. The Diggs catch. I mean, it was that type of thing for the most part in a game like that. Just to be very clear here, does not happen to the Minnesota Vikings.
I'm going to give you, so the miracle is number one. I won't go through, I'll just give you my quick list and 2 honorable mentions. We match on some of these. Number one, the miracle. I have the Favre Lewis game, number 2, just the way that stadium popped so hard after that game was over.
Yep.
I've got the Vikings destroying the Cowboys in 98 as my 98 game. Mm-hmm. I've got the Vikings destroying the Cowboys in the 09 playoffs, which was like the last great thing from the Brett Favre era. Then it was like 34-3 or something.
Romo, your guy.
The Tony Romo Cowboys.
Your guy got beat up.
It was the last time you felt great with Brett Favre in a Vikings uniform.
Yep.
And then I also have, for my number 5 slot here, the Vikings beating the Giants in the 97 wildcard round with an onside kick and a game-winning field goal at the end. They were cooked, and they came back. It was an ugly game, but they recovered an onside kick. Honorable mentions for Kirk's win over the Saints, that throw to Thielen in the playoffs, and Adrian Peterson's 296-yard record-breaking performance, which you can find a full breakdown of earlier this week, or last week. Yeah, 4th of July weekend on the Purple Daily Podcast. Anything we're missing here, Dex, from your era?
I mean, yeah, it covers the majority of them. I thought the opener at US Bank Stadium was pretty damn cool. Sam Bradford, the first Sam Bradford game, they beat the Packers. That was a masterpiece. One from my youth that really, really stands out, and I really don't know why. Again, this is just random young Declan that I remember this very fondly. The week before the Nate Poole game, the infamous Nate Poole game in 2003 that knocked the Vikings out of the playoffs. The week before that was a game against the Chiefs. The Chiefs came to town, and I believe they were like undefeated or like 14-1 going into that game. They had the number 1 seed. Trent Green had like a ridiculous season. Classic Kansas City Chiefs, right? Like the Minnesota Vikings of the AFC with all these hilarious random quarterbacks they've ran through. And the Vikings kicked the crap out of the Chiefs. Like 45-20 was the final score. Judd, were you there?
Saturday game. It was on a Saturday,
yes.
if I recall
I'm looking
correctly.
at it right now.
I was in my apartment in Green Bay on Viking Drive watching it on TV. But I remember it was a Saturday game, and they destroyed them.
Yeah.
I've forgotten about that game.
Amazing.
They were 12-2 going into that game, and the Vikings were, 8-5 8-6 and still fighting for playoff hopes, but they kicked the crap out of that Kansas City Chiefs team.
And that's right. And it made everyone sort of let their guard down. Oh, all right.
Totally.
So the Vikings are back, and now they got the Cardinals, so this will be no problem.
I think that was the year too. Like Priest Holmes, had like 30 touchdowns or something. Like
dude.
Priest Holmes was unreal that year.
One of the great early 2000s fantasy football players. Priest Holmes had a run there.
Just randomly here, Ontario Smith in that game. 21 carries, $146, 3 touchdowns.
Wow,
ran all over the Chiefs.
Steal of the draft, man. Got that Wizinator in his road luggage, sure. All right, question number 2 here for you guys, which, by the way, is powered by our friends at Brainerd International Raceway. That's a super fun spot. Summertime, racing season, Rubbin's racing, boys. Judd says it all the time. Rubbin is racing.
Yeah, I walk around the house saying it.
and then Don's like, stop saying that. That's weird.
Yeah,
You're creepy.
You're not wrong.
But live racing is back at Brainerd International Raceway, July 16th to the 18th, the second annual Jed Copham Memorial Race. And they're going to be all summer long, by the way. There's going to be events. So check out Brainerd International Raceway, BIRMN.com for ticket and camping packages if you want to get your camp on. Question number 2. So it was announced this week the Dallas Cowboys will be featured on Hard Knocks this season, HBO's Hard Knocks.
Mm-hmm.
Which team would you rather see this year on Hard Knocks?
I tweeted this. Very close to home.
The Packers?
The Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, yeah. I'd be super
Mike
fun.
Mike Zimmer right now, and it's because of the rules, because I believe if you make the playoffs, if you've made the playoffs in the past 2 years, you don't have to participate or you're not considered. But if Mike Zimmer leaves the Vikings with this team never having appeared on Hard Knocks, boys, it's going to be a crime. Like, Zimmer as the defensive coordinator of the Bengals was the star of the show because he can't help himself.
That's
the
right.
F-bombs fly.
That's right.
And right now we're in line for the Vikings to never appear on Hard Knocks with Zim as coach. That to me is so sad because I'm sure he doesn't want to do it. I'm sure he would object, but I don't think he could contain himself once he did do it. So yeah, the Vikings.
I think the conflict there is like it sounds really good on paper because I would love like undercover Zim or like hidden mics on Zim and just to hear what he wants to do or what he says to players in training camp. But I just don't know if he would do the buy-in. I don't know if it would be as cool as we probably think it is. I like it. Like, it would be cool, but I don't know.
I don't think he could help himself with the language where it would get to the point where, because the team can watch it first, but I think that they would say, Mike, we have to use something, and everything that you say has an F word in it.
Yeah, I would love to see a Hard Knocks edition, 5 episodes behind the scenes Vikings. And you're right. Like, it's kind of a shame that we're going to wind up going, even if he sticks around for another year, like probably not going to happen next year. So we're going to go the whole Mike Zimmer era with no Hard Knocks. Honestly, it would be so much fun to document what's happening with the Packers right now. And because there would have to be some type of behind the scenes access, right? You couldn't have the Packers on Hard Knocks and not release some of the behind the scenes footage that they capture about those conversations. And it would make them squirm. It's the most, like, they just want it's the most benign organization. They're always trying to stay out of controversies. And when the stuff like this happens, it's like they just freak out. They don't know what to do. Their president, Mark Murphy, starts posting weird blogs on Packers.com. I need it. And if Aaron Rodgers were to show up to training camp, oh my God, like, it would be amazing.
I would obviously Dan Campbell, the Lions would be an absolute blast too.
God.
That would be the prime one. Dan Campbell.
They cut to Dan Campbell. He's just standing by his bed in the middle of the night with glowing eyes, just eating a raw piece of meat.
Just cutting his fingernails with hatchets, just cutting them right off there. Yeah,
just
absolutely.
chopping his fingers
Dan
off.
Campbell has, like, at all times, a full turkey right by his bed and just rips a leg off him.
A live turkey just rips the leg off. All right, question number 3 here. Which Vikings team in history, if you could go back, would you like to have seen documented on Hard Knocks?
Oh, in history?
So training camp Vikings.
Yeah, I would say for sure a Tice team. Ticey on Hard Knocks would have been outstanding, and he would have loved it and played it up to the hilt. So if I could have picked one of his teams, I would probably say 2004, because you still had Moss, who would have been a wild card, Culpepper, who would have at least participated. But I think, 2004, that team and Tice would have, because I think Tice would have taken stuff that most teams demanded be cut out and demanded it be left in. So
yeah, Tice loved the media, loved doing his weekly radio show. That was one of my first jobs in media, was interning for no money for the Mike Tice radio show. And he just he would have been super fun behind the scenes. Yeah, I would say I can't get enough of that Brett Favre behind the scenes stuff. I think I feel like it's all kind of been told now, but just to see more of the Brett Favre 2009 preseason or even 2010, he didn't show up for the Mankato portion, but they still filmed going up to the
That's what I was going to say, though,
preseason game.
But keep in mind, a lot of the episodes in 2009 and 10 would have been in Mankato without Favre, and I think Childress would have been very boring.
What do you think? Really?
So, but if you could have, or no, I know it, no, but I'm saying if you could have Favre in Mankato, it would have been great. But since he wasn't, I think it would have been really disappointing. And then the last two, Brett, it'd be and then Brett Favre arrived. Although seeing the car driving from the St. Paul airport, the chili bringing Brett in would have been amusing.
Yeah. Dex, what about you?
The 2010 one would be pretty dang fun. I'm trying to think of a Zimmer team, but maybe it would be kind of just cool to see the emotional side of the 2016 training camp with Teddy going down, what that would be like, and then obviously trading for Bradford, just the behind this. I would love behind the scenes viewpoint of the meeting room of what are we all right, so Teddy is out. What's our move?
Pick. They want a first round pick. Should we do it?
Yeah. I would love to hear all that.
Do it. Those trade discussions behind the scenes, all about that for sure.
Football.
All right. Question 4, a little get to know Mackie and Judd and Declan question here. What are the 3 movies that you guys have seen the most in your life?
Mm-hmm. I actually had to give this one some thought.
Because Judd only watches hockey and football and doesn't watch movies unless it's for Mackie and Judd movie review franchise.
No, there are certain films I've watched, and if they're on cable, especially if they're on a channel that doesn't bleep out the language, I can't turn away from. So that leads to my first one.
Is My Best Friend's Wedding now in your top 3 after watching it again?
No, in fact, it's fallen way farther than it was before we reviewed it.
I'm saying I know you've watched it at least twice, so it must be knocking on the door of the top 3 most watched for you.
I watched Goodfellas about 87 times. Okay. I love that movie. That is the perfect film. So that's on my list. Not surprisingly, Slapshot, I've seen a ton, is on my list. And the third one I was having trouble with because there's a lot of them that sort of I've seen, but I don't know if but I'm going to go with, because it's on all the time and I usually stop and watch it, Roadhouse.
Oh yeah. Roadhouse is still on all the time. All the time.
Roadhouse.
Well, prime peak Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
That's good. Peter Griffin.
For me, it's my all-time favorite movie, and I do watch. Actually, I watched it on 4th of July because I think it's actually a very sneaky good 4th of July movie, Dazed and Confused. It's my all-time favorite film. All right. I mean, so many iconic characters in that movie. Another one for me, and it's by default because you watch it every season, but also it's probably the movie every one of my siblings would say they've seen the most too, and it's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah,
I can recite that. I think if someone blindfolded me, I could recite the whole film front to back. It is one of my all-time favorite movies, Christmas or not. Just an amazing movie.
I kind of mentally, I've sort of left Christmas movies out of this, but to that point, Elf for me would be I've probably seen Elf just as much as I've seen every other movie because it's always on every year, right?
Yeah, and the final one, this is kind of embarrassing, but also it's the movie I rented the most from Blockbuster all the time as a kid, and it's a terrible film, and you could probably poll the world, and I probably have seen it the most, and it's the original Mortal Kombat.
What?
I loved the video game a lot, and the original movie, and they actually just redid it on HBO Max a few months ago. The original Mortal Kombat, we could honestly maybe mix it into action movie because I know it's fantasy, and Judd doesn't like fantasy.
I hate fantasy.
But it's so bad. It is so bad, I think we could possibly do it. I have seen that movie, and I rented that movie every Friday night at Blockbuster so many bleeping times. It definitely... I've seen it way too many times. So yeah,
you used to love the video. This is like the 1995 version of it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So I used to be all in on the video game. I don't know if I've ever seen the movie though.
Oh, it's horrible.
It's
It
only
is-
it's 44% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is not. I mean, it could be far worse.
So they made it, and they made a second one to Annihilation, which came out a couple years later with like half of the original cast and half new people from the recurring cast, which was weird. Like Raiden was different, and I think some other like Sonya Blade was different. But then they just remade the new one on HBO Max, and it was okay. It was obviously it's Mortal Kombat, so it was super gory. But it is so bad, and I think we honestly could do it on Mackie and Judd. I think we could.
Bridget Wilson played Sonya Blade in that movie. She
Yep.
was Veronica Vaughn in
Yes.
Billy Madison.
Yes.
That Veronica Vaughn is
That
one
Veronica
fine piece
Vaughn.
of ace. Me and her got it on.
I know from experience, dude.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
No, you don't at all. Actually, Billy Madison is in my top 5. It's like an honorable mention.
Yeah.
For this is
Right, me
movies
too.
we've seen the most, right?
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber is in my 3. We used to put that movie on even in high school and just like at gatherings, it would just be on in the background,
Yeah.
right? Rounders, great late 1990s underground poker movie. Matt Damon, Ed Norton, a bunch of other prominent stars. Another movie that like when we would play poker for quarters in high school and college, and we just put it on loop for 6 hours, right? And then Rocky IV is probably the movie that I've seen the most. Very much by choice, not in the background, just all in, engaged. One of the great soundtracks of all time, Rocky IV. So, yeah, let us know. We want to know in the YouTube comment sections, what are the movies, the 3 movies you guys have seen the most in your life that you're pretty sure if they pulled all of America, that you would show up as a top connoisseur of that movie. Hit us up on the Purple Daily YouTube comment section. So, all right, that's a wrap on 4 Question Friday here today, boys.
We got 4.
Good session.
Played all
Four.
4.
Fourth
Yep.
quarter.
Repeat.
Fourth quarter.
Fourth down.
All right, thanks for hanging out with us. Daily Vikings entertainment here on Purple Daily. Mackie, Judd, Declan. We'll see you guys later.